The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Good morning. I am independent journalist Georgia Fore. As many of you know, I was in the courtroom yesterday for the Kimberly Potter trial, and it was an emotional day, to say the least. Daunte Wright's father took the stand. He testified, and he recounted the precious moments that he had with his son, even reflecting back on teachable moments where he corrected Daunte in hopes to set him on the right path. Take a listen. This is a clip from his testimony yesterday.
He grew older into his teenage years and beyond. Did he have a variety of different jobs that he worked?
Had a lot of different jobs. I even got him a job with me before.
And when you say you got him a job, was there a time where you and Daunte worked together?
Yeah, it was the time we worked together. I was his boss, and I was happy, to have my son coming on to work with me.
Where was it that you two were working together? I
was a manager at Famous Footwear.
And about how long did you two work together at Famous Footwear?
About a year. He worked there about a year with me. It was great. It was challenging, to work with my son. I tried to let him understand the difference between where at work I'm your boss and at home I'm your dad. It's a difference. So, but it was funny. Like, it was this one time where I had sent him home because he was on his phone at work and he wasn't supposed to be on the phone at work. I was like, yo, we gotta go home. And so he went and asked my boss, is it okay if my dad sends me home? And I'm like, my boss like, yeah, he's your boss. And I'm like, well, you need to go home and come out in the hallway. And he's still there. And I'm like, well, why are you still here? And he's like, well, Dad, I rode with you. I couldn't go home because you're my ride. I think it's funny, but.
All right, there's a picture on the screen now. It's Exhibit 240. Could you just explain to the jury what's shown in this picture? Take a minute if you need one.
Picture of me and Daunte. You see how, I was holding him. See how his arm, we had a close relationship. He was me and my wife's first child.
And was this picture at your home?
Yes.
Was this not long before he passed away?
This was right before he passed away.
Being in the courtroom during that testimony and even having to rewatch it now is challenging because I'm a parent too. And, I was sitting right in front of Katie at the time when Daunte's dad was on the stand. Katie is Daunte's mother. And she broke down at that moment. She reached in front of me. There was a box of tissues placed right in front of me on the media table. She reached over me and grabbed the tissue. And I really just wanted to set my computer aside at that moment and stop taking notes and console her. But when you're in the confines of these courtrooms, everybody is so rigid and they have these roles. But to be honest with you, Ben, I was so disappointed in the way that Hennepin County is handling this family, or mishandling rather. Because let me just paint a picture for you. You go up onto the 18th floor and there's at least a dozen, if not 20 sheriffs, deputies, security officers assigned to work this floor. And many of them are sitting around on chairs, kikiing, laughing, joking, talking about the weather. That's fine. But what bothers me, what deeply disappoints me, is that out of all of those sheriffs and deputies who are assigned to that floor, Not one is assigned to escort that family out so that in the hallway, they don't have to cross paths with Kimberly Potter. See, I covered a lot of trials, murder trials specifically, when I was a reporter in Columbus, Georgia. And one thing that I respected about the judicial system there is deputies ensured that the family of the defendant, or especially if the defendant was out on bail, didn't have to cross paths with the family of the deceased. And there was this moment yesterday where I saw Kimberly Potter leave the courtroom, and she had her arm locked with her husband, and she walked out into the hallway with her head held high. And Katie Wright was right there, and they crossed paths. And Katie, she was basically hugging the wall. She was trying to move as far away from Kimberly Potter as possible. And it just broke my heart that not only did she have to go into court yesterday and hear Dante's father break down on the stand, remembering their last moments together, but that she had to come face to face with the woman who, regardless of the verdict of this trial, the woman who is responsible for her son no longer being here. And that is something that is 100% avoidable. That is pain that no mother should have to, you shouldn't have to be forced to be in that situation. And it's 100% preventable. And the Hennepin County court system has failed this family.
Georgia, I'm listening to you, and I'm still reeling from that testimony from Dante's father. And, you know, I think the humanity underneath it is something that is lost. And I'm grateful that you are bringing it back to it. But I'm also grateful to the father for being strong enough to remind America, or at least those of us who are of good faith, that Dante Wright was a real person that had real people who loved him. And we oftentimes see one of the biggest failings, not only what you're talking about in terms of the callousness and the way they're treating the family, but the first failure was this system that casually took away Dante Wright's life. And now the media circus around it that is trying to attack him. I think people fail to realize and forget that this was a young man who had a life in front of him and a lot of people who loved him. And can we all just take for a minute to consider that this holiday season, what it would mean if that was our child, God forbid.
Absolutely. And, you know, even with the seating arrangements, I remember going into courtrooms and there would be a very clear distinguishment between the people who are there for the defense and the people who are there for the deceased. And so much so, you know, you look to the left, there's one side, you look to the right, there's the other. Ben, they had 8 chairs in the back of this courtroom to the left when you walk in. And the only thing separating Katie from Kim Potter's husband was a deputy sitting between them. There's one row of seats. And so I think that it is very callous and inhumane and inconsiderate to families who you're asking them to put their faith and their trust in this process that is disregarding their humanity.
That's right. That's right. And it's also the spectacle of it, Georgia. It is the spectacle that the media circus and the politics around it and the vilification of Dante's life. It's like the standard protocol that we get anytime we have one of these scenarios. And so it's the spectacle that's the insult to injury on top of this. Not only is the family having to deal with those situations that you described there inside of the courthouse, but they also have to cut on the news. And they also have family members who are watching as Fox News and all these other media outlets do their part in undermining the fight for justice.
Just to wrap things up, in court yesterday, there was an expert witness who took the stand, Professor Stoughton, who has extensive history in not just criminal justice, but also in law. He is an attorney, although he said he's not practicing. At one point, he was a patrol officer. He offered to the jury his opinion after reviewing all the evidence that the amount of force that was used, which was deadly force, was not justifiable. And he also assessed that based on all of the evidence that he had access to, the use of a taser in that incident, he said, also would not be justified because he described this idea of incapacitating a driver, and then now they're operating this vehicle incapacitated, and
Right.
then the vehicle becomes this hazardous object that's moving without anyone controlling it. And so he said for that reason, he felt that the use of even a taser in that situation would be inappropriate because the benefits of using a taser and incapacitating Dante would have outweighed the risk that he was posing. He differentiated the difference between being non-compliant, resisting, and fighting, because at times we've heard the defense try to describe Dante Wright's behavior as fighting. He was fighting the police, and this expert said he was not fighting the police, but he did agree that he was being non-compliant and at times even resisting. But because the responding officers had already identified him, they had the opportunity to follow up at his address or even his brother's address because the vehicle was still registered to his brother. So they had other means to follow up with him rather than incapacitating him in that moment while he's driving the vehicle and putting other people at risk. Well, the defense did everything that they could to try to discredit this witness. We saw Attorney Gray and his co-counsel become extremely angry. They were banging their fists at the podium at times, pointing to the fact that Professor Stoughton hadn't been a field officer for 15 years, asking him to recall things during his tenure as a field officer. And when he couldn't remember specific details, they pointed to his lack of memory to try to discredit him further. So it was very tense. But Ben, what we know now is that the prosecution is expected to rest their case today, and the defense will begin calling their witnesses, including Kimberly Potter and the former chief of police.
Yeah. And Georgia, and again, there's always this balancing act because we as Black people who are seeking justice, we need a system of justice that actually works. But when we see this system working disproportionately in favor of one group and to the detriment of ourselves and our families and our loved ones, it becomes extremely difficult for us to look at this system and expect justice from it. I just wanted to echo the sentiments of what you're saying, because I cannot imagine that a family that has to sit there and observe so many ridiculous little absurdities when they're trying to seek justice on behalf of their murdered loved one. I can't imagine that they feel that this is a just and equitable system.
Yeah, well, the defense even asked for a mistrial yesterday. The defense also asked to insert evidence. They asked permission from the judge to admit evidence showing that Dante Wright had fled the police before. And the judge ended up denying their request, but that thought that they would move further in their attempts to assassinate Dante's characters, heartbreaking, and the judge, rightfully so, denied their request because this was not information that Potter or any of the other responding officers were privy to at the time when they pulled him over. So how is it relevant?
That's right.
But of course, the defense, they have a job to try and do everything that they can that is favorable for their client. But, you know, those moments are very tense, and you can hear and feel the anxiety of the families in that courtroom as the proceedings are happening. Katie had a stress rope, you know, the kind of like a stress ball that you would squeeze. Yeah. And the rope, she would pull it every time they would show the video evidence of Dante in his car right before he was killed. She would just start pulling that rope. And so you could just feel the anxiety that they're coping with. Simultaneously, while I was in court yesterday, the proceedings for Chauvin were happening, and the Floyd family was having to relive the trauma of him dying. And so there has been a turn of events here. Chauvin has pleaded guilty on the federal charges, but we do understand that this is partially to work in his favor. He is expected now to testify as a state witness against the other 3 officers, and in turn likely get not a lesser sentence, but maybe be placed somewhere a little more comfortable or with a little more protection. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a balancing act with this as well, because for him to break that blue wall of silence, the biggest gang and the biggest no snitch policy in the world is the policing agencies in the United States of America. So this is a big step for Chauvin. But I think at this point, he's just looking out for himself, trying to get as much comfort as he can as he settles in for this long haul.
Absolutely. And Ben, I know that you're tracking a story this morning as well.
Yes, the international community, quite honest, is reeling in the aftermath of the passing of Bell Hooks, renowned feminist, scholar, author, and prolific thinker. She passed away. We got the news yesterday that she passed away at the age of 69, which is very young. According to reports, she died of kidney failure, which in America really is a testament to how broken this country is, that someone, anyone for that matter, but someone so precious to the movement, she put Bell Hooks, better yet, than instead of me trying to describe it, I want us to listen to a clip as she puts her thoughts in a very succinct fashion.
Some people are more feminist than others. The fact is... this is why we love Bell Hooks. One thing, this is something that's been on my mind lately, and it's been disturbing me, is that if feminism is all things to all people, then what is it? I mean, how do we locate it as a radical political movement in our lives if everybody just makes of it, which doesn't mean that we should demonize, but we do have to be clear about what are the boundaries. That what is the line that you cross, that you can in fact say I'm a feminist. Like for me, my students will say, well, I'm an anti-abortion, but I'm a feminist. And I'll say, but that is impossible, because you can say I would never choose to have an abortion because I don't support that for myself. But there is no one who's genuinely a feminist who doesn't support reproductive rights for women. And it's, again, I mean, it's so hard for us because we live in this binary world that's always saying choose one thing or the other. I don't try to get someone to choose my values about abortion, but I do feel that part of the essence of feminism is that women have control over women's bodies, that women have reproductive rights, all women. And so you can't want to take that away from somebody and then brag about how feminist you are.
And Georgia, I just want to read one quote from Bell Hooks that really changed my life. She said, "Sometimes people try to destroy you precisely because they recognize your power, not because they don't see it, but because they do see it and they don't want it to exist. So we're just remembering this icon of feminism, of Black thought, of intersectionality, a robust critique of capitalism, an all around magnificent Black woman. We lost her, and we are remembering her today.
Yeah, our world is definitely filled with a void now that she is gone. She is such an inspiration. Her fearlessness and courageousness has inspired so many, challenged mainstream thought. And I dream of a day when America will put women like Bell Hooks on a pedestal, who will give women like Bell Hooks a reality show. Because I think that the intellect and, just her ability to put forth different ideas that challenge public opinion, like that's the direction we need to move in, especially when you think about our current state as a country and how polarized we are, and the misinformation and the inhumanity in so much of our society. I just, there's so, and her body of work is so vast. If you haven't picked up a book by Bell Hooks, please do.
One of the topics that she focused on that I came to learn about from so many Black women, I didn't know this particularly, but the focus and the emphasis of love in activism, and the ability to see not only the power of love in the work that we do, but the power of love in influencing us and changing us, and experiencing a type of love that is radical, that is revolutionary. And, it's funny that, there's so many little things about her that you wouldn't really know unless you got a chance to really spend time with if you couldn't get with her, spend time with people she influenced. And I always love to hear when people talked about the love, the why they do what they do was because of the love that they wanted to share and they wanted to experience. I love that part.
Well, and what I really appreciated about her was she also challenged gender roles, modern gender roles as we know them. One of her books, I Am a Man, Black Masculinity in America, pairs well with also her very strong viewpoints on feminism. And I think that, it's safe to say 50, 60, 70 years ago, there weren't as many women in the workforce. And so America has never really fully adapted to women entering the workforce. And we still largely perpetuate these traditional gender roles that even, and you see it in media, you see it in movies, that women, have a certain place and so do men, right? But we've evolved so much, but we have not really transformed through those gender identities. And a lot of her literature challenged our ideas about those roles, and leading with love at the end of the day. It's not about you're a man, I'm a woman, you're supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. But through love, all things are possible. And so I just, I'm also grateful, however, that there now, I think, will be a revitalization of her work that can be introduced to the next generation. And because her work is timeless. Yeah. Timeless.
And because, if I could borrow from Ossie Davis's eulogy of Malcolm X, because I believe that she is a seed, right? And that after the winter of our discontent, she will come forth. There are going to be so many more Bell Hooks that carry the legacy, the vision, the ideology, the spirit of Bell Hooks, because she planted so many seeds in her lifetime. So the best of what she represented is yet to come, because she left so many brilliant thoughts to inspire the next generation.
Absolutely. And I hope that this also reminds us, give people the flowers while they can still smell them. It saddens me that, maybe people didn't necessarily recognize her as much as they should have. I think about, the Nobel Peace Prize or just high awards like that she was deserving of. And, hug the people who you love and the people who you admire and respect. Give them their flowers while they can still smell them.
That's right.
Life is short.
That's right, George. I was you took the words out of my mouth, Georgia, and I'm thinking about all the heroes we lost just this year, just over the last 2 years throughout this pandemic. It's been really difficult. And so your message resonates so much more today than ever before, because we don't know how much longer we have our heroes. So give them a hug, give them their roses, and more importantly, listen to what they had to say and replicate the very best of their character. And I just look at the impact that Bell Hook had on so many people. One other thing, Georgia, the challenging the gender roles. One of the things that I took away from her was the ability to see how those gender roles actually were hurting me and my relationship, specifically with my children. There's a lot of healing that can go on when you're reading someone as prolific as Bell Hooks.
Oh, absolutely. Well, then what can people look forward to coming up in the next hour?
Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be speaking with Senator Cynthia Mendes. She's a Rhode Island state senator, and she has been actively putting homelessness front and center, demonstrating what it is to be unhoused during this bitter, cold winter that's upcoming. So we're going to be speaking with her about the actions that she's taken place, along with so many other stories coming up in the next block.
Sounds good. We'll keep it here for that and more on The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Sunlight that always stays, dinner by the waterway. It's that sweet life. Raise your cross. Made some dude crack a smile. He asked if I could stay a while. I'm living that high life. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. Back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Shopping the girl, I brought a girl on my Vespa. She said I already told ya, yeah. I never dated a black guy. I said you're brown yourself. Let me offer help. Come on inside. Where everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your name. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. Back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Sunlight that always stays in and by the waterway. It's that sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. Yeah. Shut up, I got the bed, the bed. We got
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. It is Thursday, December 16th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. We are not joined by DJ Exclusive. Our wonderful DJ is out on vacation somewhere on a beach, drinking some type of libation with somebody's son. So we want to salute him on his birthday. He will be back, I believe, on Friday. If not, we'll see him on Monday. That said, we have a lot of news we have coming up in this half hour. We have the state senator from Rhode Island who is actively demonstrating what homelessness and being unhoused looks like during the winter. We'll be joined by Senator Mendes coming up shortly. But first, I want to bring our producer into the conversation, David, as we discuss what's happening in Hawaii. There has been a leak that has caused contamination of the water in Hawaii. The scale of it, the scale of the toxicity. If I read that correctly, David, you're telling me that what the military has leaked and infected and polluted the waters in Honolulu with, and correct me if I have any errors here, but I thought I saw it said that it's 350 times more toxic than the safest levels. Did I read that right, Dave?
Yep. 300. The level of petroleum in the water has been found to be 350 times the safe level. The fact that there's a safe level of petroleum in water is,
it's a questionable thing in the first place. Right. So take us to the top of this. Like, what happened? How did this get started? Because as we look at all this, this is just so many instances around the globe of climate disaster being exacerbated by our activities. Go for it.
Yeah, we'll roll D1. It gives like a basic rundown of what's being presented as the story. The only caveat I would say is that what's widely not being heard in the mainstream media is that this has been something that's been ongoing for years in terms of a worry by community and activists, and like they've been saying it's inevitable that something was going to happen. This is presented in the mainstream, at least, as we don't know what happened yet. And, oh my gosh.
But we do know what happened.
Yes.
Let's take a listen to this clip as they break down the disaster that's ongoing in Honolulu.
Tonight, the safety of the water supply for hundreds of thousands of people on Oahu in question.
This is crossed off.
The water in my Hall's house is off limits.
And it smelled like I was pumping gas in my car.
Hall and at least 1,500 other families in Honolulu, many military, started seeing fuel in their water about 2 weeks ago.
A lot of us got sick at the same time. Headaches, nausea, stomach pain.
Even my cats were vomiting. 17-year-old Jaden Benia rushed to the emergency room with a severe rash and swelling. And residents continue to report tainted, cloudy water.
But when you let it sit, this is what you get.
You can see that translucent sheen. According to the Navy, the fuel came from the Red Hill Fuel Facility, which was built during World War II and stores millions of gallons of fuel. And that leaky fuel facility sits only 100 feet over a major aquifer that supplies water to Honolulu.
We are on the precipice of a major disaster. We've already seen the disaster happening, and it's a foreshadow of something that could be even worse if action is not taken quickly.
I just spoke with the chief engineer of the water board here. He says without a doubt fuel is in that aquifer. It's just a matter of how much, and he's calling this situation a ticking time bomb. He says the Navy needs to get all that fuel out of the tanks immediately. The Navy says that it's testing, and in the meantime, it's offering water at points just like this to all the members of the military impacted.
So World War II era facility leaking. Here's the thing, 100 feet above the water supply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, they have been warning about this. This is not new. How long have it? Years they've been warning about this.
They've been worried that something was going to happen. I don't know that there's, from what I was seeing, I don't know that there's been actual issues, but there have been basic alarms raised, like this is going to be a problem. Why wait until it is a problem? And now it's a problem. And it's not only the military communities, although that seems to be who's been definitely hit. The concern is that it gets out into the wider community outside of the base area, because the base isn't necessarily just completely cut off from civilization. So it's already kind of out there. It's just a matter of how big the problem is now and how big it's going to get. We have another clip, D2. This is an Oahu water protector speaking to the fact that they've been saying this for years, and it's been falling on deaf ears.
Let's take a listen in.
Hi, my name is Mikey, and I'm a member of the Oahu Water Protectors. We're all here today because the U.S. Navy poisoned our water with their decrepit, leaking Red Hill fuel facility, despite years of warnings from people who actually value life and all that sustains it. The U.S. military swatted dire concerns away like flies as the problem was allowed to fester. The people in charge have demonstrated with their staggering ineptitude and murderous inaction that they have no interest in listening to us and are incapable of grasping some of the most basic concepts required to live in harmony with the rest of the world. There are elementary school kids who have a better comprehension of the urgency of this issue than the top brass of the U.S. Navy, like actual children, many of whom might be here today. Know that it's a terrible idea to store up to 250 million gallons of toxic fuel sitting 100 feet above an aquifer that provides water to nearly 400,000 people on this island. We are so done trying to educate Navy officers and their co-conspirators on the nature of our plight, because they are clearly a lost cause. We will no longer try to gingerly walk them through all the gobsmackingly obvious reasons why they need to shut down Red Hill. No, we are no longer asking to shut down Red Hill. We are going to make them shut down Red Hill. And we're not going to take any BS excuses like, our multi-trillion-dollar budgets, we can't afford it. Or it's logistically too difficult and dangerous, even though they never seem to have that issue with RIMPAC. And I don't even want to accept double lining, because, honestly, that doesn't even address the root of the problem. It's like double masking a COVID patient that needs to be intubated. There's a history of the U.S. military putting Band-Aids over bullet wounds.
David, who was that guy? I didn't catch his name. Did we have his name?
He introduced himself as Mikey. On Twitter, it says Mikey Yoki. So I'm not sure if that's two names.
Here's a couple of things. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish that thought.
I was just saying, I'm not sure if it's Mikey Oki or Mikey Yoki together, because that's what his Twitter name is shown as. So I just want to show respect to him.
Yeah, no, we'll find out. What's fascinating to me is that is that there exists, and we need even more of something called water protectors, right? I'm thinking about the Keystone Pipeline. We've seen the water protectors. They have been, I think, what was it, Line 3? There are protests all over the country where indigenous populations, water protectors are doing and putting their lives and their bodies literally on the line to protect water supplies. How absurd. How absurd is it that we as human beings have to tell other human beings to not poison our water, and that we have to literally organize? We have to organize in order to push back. And actually, we have our guests cutting through our audio right now, but we have our system so twisted that we literally have to engage in the protection of the most fundamental thing that we need for survival, which is water. David, finish that thought you were getting to.
Well, what's most striking about that when you compare it to the pipelines is that the pipelines are, I mean, obviously they're subsidized. There's government deals, depending on which specific pipeline you're talking about. But those are private projects. They're largely, corporate owned projects. This is a government facility.
That's right.
It's a government facility. And at least according to the public details made available, and this is from NPR, but in general, the mainstream has been pretty similar in their details. The water system serves 93,000 residents, but that's mostly just for the Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickman water system. So mostly military. Again, the question is, where is it? Where does it stand in the wider community? Because there's the community at large is a huge. We're talking about an entire. It's not even just one island, and Hawaii's been through enough as a colonized territory.
Thank you.
For it to now be treated like this, and they've been warned, and they're just ignoring it. Like, no, we're good. We tested every 6 months, which is what they said in a different clip, but they ignored the warnings.
Here's the thing that stood out to me about what the protester was just saying, and I want to encourage everyone to hear me when I say this. They know what they are doing. I have spent personally, and I know so many activists and organizers and protesters, we all collectively have spent millions of hours trying to educate these people on how they're destroying the world. They know they're destroying their world. So it is time for us to stop trying to convince people who are being paid to not know, or to not be convinced, or to be ignorant. And we need to begin organizing our own power in order to fight back against it, because these monsters know that they're destroying the planet, David. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
We have one more clip here.
An eye on this one. No, I think that was it just for these two.
That was it. Okay. That said, I want to shift gears here to another topic that we cover on our show regularly, and that is the unhoused, homelessness. It is something that is not talked about as often as it needs to be talked about, because in the richest country in the history of this world, there should not exist a single homeless person. Joining us now is a Rhode Island state senator, Cynthia Mendes, and she has, and Matt Brown have been leading hashtag Sleep Out Rhode Island for over 2 weeks, sleeping in tents through storms and winter weather. Senator Mendes, thank you so much for joining me on location. How are you doing that?
Thank you, Ben, for having me. It's a windy day today, but it is not. It's above freezing, so we're doing all right.
You're bringing attention to the unhoused crisis that is there in Rhode Island, but we are clearly aware that it is everywhere across the country. Tell us what inspired you to take this particular action, and how has that experience been in Rhode Island? I'm from Boston. I know it's cold right now.
It's very cold. Several things inspired this action. The first thing was, before I ever got into politics, this was the work that I did, worked with folks that were unhoused and worked on the street, helping folks to find housing and shelter. And fast forward to being a senator, it was just utterly a gut punch to be able to see that the leaders of this state did not care that we had unhoused folks. We've now, to be clear, Rhode Island's always had a crisis, always had an issue with basically fundamentally being okay that some people sleep outside. But this year's particularly different in the fact that we had COVID. So we had unprecedented, going into this year, we had unprecedented numbers of Rhode Islanders sleeping outside. And then to add insult to injury, are what I consider cruel and negligent leaders of the state received federal funding from COVID relief money through the American Rescue Plan that was specifically earmarked to help address this crisis in particular, among others, and they're sitting on it. We're the only Democratic state in the country that has not spent a penny of its American Rescue Plan money. So we're sitting in the middle of a crisis with more, we were sitting in the middle of a crisis of the most unhoused folks in Rhode Island. And we're also sitting on maybe the most money that we've had in order to address it. So we're completely out of excuses. And then we had a surplus. So the state's budget was on track to have a surplus of over $600 million. And 10 months ago, service providers and advocates were begging and pleading. They said, we have too many, we don't have enough beds, we don't have plan, we need to make a plan before winter. 10 months ago. Winter's here. And not only do we have the unspent, untouched ARPA money, not only do we have a surplus like we've never had before, the state decided to sell group homes. So the state owned property that it could have used for shelter. It owned property that it could have provided to the service providers and the shelters, and they sold them for millions of dollars. So why I'm out here, I have no choice. I have no choice. This is state-sanctioned violence. They are hell-bent on cruelty, and it is the policy of this state and it's the policy of the leaders of the state that some people should live outside, that some people should freeze to death this winter, and it's fundamentally wrong and inhumane. They've left us no choice.
Wow. I'm rarely speechless, but when you said that they have not spent a dime that was specifically allocated, because we were just talking to LA Council member Mike Bonin yesterday, talking about there are even 10-year vouchers that are now available to states from the federal government. And you're telling me out of all those resources that are available, the state of Rhode Island, and they had housing. Why is this Democratic led state?
We might have lost Ben. Dwayne, can we roll EO? This is a little bit about the effort and what the activists have been up to.
Homelessness, but you can. Your prescription is called a law. Spend the money on housing now. We need you to hear us out. Follow your pride. Come and meet with us, and let's come up with a plan to end the homelessness crisis now.
Yeah, all we heard was the singing and the band and the club singers. That's all we heard tonight.
Going to highlight that particular clip and what was happening there. That was 3 nights in to this protest and this direct action. We arrived on night 1 with just 6 of us. To be clear, I was only able to just I wasn't even able to put down my backpack. The Capitol Police accosted us, threatened to arrest us. We said we were not leaving. And they called the state police, and that caused multiple press to come out because they heard that a senator and my running mate, Matt Brown, were probably going to be arrested. And then we were not arrested because they couldn't cite a law we were breaking or an ordinance, and so we were not arrested. And they backed down, thankfully. But that didn't prevent them from harassing us all night. So we finally did get to pitch our tents and set up camp. And it was just a few of us. We didn't even get to get the word out to folks that we were starting the protest because we didn't even get to announce it. And the police, came and yelled at us in our tents all night long. So we got no sleep. And that's just a fraction of the harassment that we know our unhoused friends go through, because they're not only subject to live under this policy where some people live outside and some people should freeze in the winter, and but they're also criminalized for it. And so that was night 1. Night 2 was in a tremendous storm that broke some of our tents. But night 3, we had organized a vigil, and on the other side of the State House, the governor, Governor McKee, was having a tree lighting with an orchestra and just the most elaborate thing you can imagine. And after the vigil, people had enough. We were done grieving. We're just angry. And organizers organized themselves and they marched around to the other side of the state. So that's what you're seeing in this clip right now. They marched around to the other side of the Capitol where the tree lighting was happening. And at the end of the tree lighting, it didn't even get to the end of the tree lighting. They just let in. They couldn't even, it was like a floodgate. And we had formerly unhoused folks that were helping organize. You could just feel the pain of finally having a place to direct it to the person that was governing cruelty, was governing in an inhumane way. And it was just like someone set a match on fire. And what you saw there also was Dr. Nathan Paul, who has the bullhorn there, and he's one of the main organizers who was patient after patient, unhoused patient. And as you can hear, one of the lines he said was like, "I cannot prescribe my patients out of homelessness. Like you, Governor McKee, have the prescription to do that. It is called the law," and he's begging him to do that. And so that's just a glimpse of like how we started the first 3 days. And I think the picture that really captures it at the end of that. I mean, the shouting you could hear across the plaza, you could hear it on the other side of the Capitol. But the Governor McKee's response, which was, "I didn't hear anything but the music," when we know he heard. We know he heard the screams of activists, service providers, doctors, nurses, formerly unhoused. We know that he heard their cries. And that could not, that just little 3 seconds is the perfect picture of the cruel, willful ignorance that we are up against. So of course we had to pitch a tent outside of the State House because they refused to see the problem that is 100% their responsibility.
And we see the governor there, Senator Mendes. I know that, and Ben, I think you're back with us.
Yes.
So we had played a clip of the of basically the activist efforts to bring attention to it, and then interactions with authorities, police, both state and Capitol. And there was a confrontation where they, including Senator Mendes, were threatened with arrest.
That's right. Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to ask about was today. Apparently, there's going to be some kind of announcement from the governor, and that's E2. I was just curious on your thoughts on this, Senator Mendes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me. We're on day 17 here outside in this direct action, and 3 days ago we had another massive action. We've been having these community talking circles, and we had a massive one, and we had over 200, about 240 people come out for that, and then we had about almost 100 people sleep out on the plaza. And that was Monday. 3 days later, the governor announces that now all of a sudden that it's a priority for him to address the crisis of homelessness in this state. So when you tell people power works.
Interesting how
public
that changed.
pressure works. Moving the moral pressure works. And I'm going to tell you, I had told folks we were getting really hopeful. We started seeing things happen, last week. And I said, we're not here for hope. We're here for action. And to be clear, we need to get out of the mindset of begging and pleading and asking bad politicians to do good things. I know that there will be a day where we will have good politicians in office. We will have good leaders. We will have the people that have the stories of their neighbors etched on their heart. That live to protect human dignity and safety, and have those people running the state. That is not beyond us. That is possible. That is on our fingertips. And now we've seen it. And I don't think there's any going back. There is no going back. There's no going back. When you see the level of cruelty and you see what we're capable of, we saw ministers. I'm talking people in their 70s sleeping out every single night here with us. Doctors sleeping out every single night with us. caseworkers, a caseworker for foster youth. And this caseworker particularly was a former foster youth and was told by his caseworker, prepare to be homeless. And he said, absolutely not. And he's done everything in his power to turn his life around to fight for other youth. And when this action came along, I didn't know him. Most of these people I did not know. They all showed up and said, this is my fight. This is my fight. I'm with you. These are for my people. And those are the leaders that we need in this state. Those are the people we need in the seats of decision making. So we got to get out of this mindset that we got to beg and plead for crumbs and that we got to push and pressure bad politicians to do good things. Because there is there is a day coming. There's a reckoning. There's a reckoning. And when that reckoning comes, there will be leaders to rise up and take those seats. And it's coming soon.
Oh, Senator Mendes, I don't mean to change this subject, and I think it's all kind of tightly, strung together. But I know that you're part of a political cooperative, so I don't think that we got to it earlier in the interview. If you could just maybe give us a brief background on yourself and how, because all of this is very community based, including the cooperative itself, is my 100%. Understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I ran with the Rhode Island Political Cooperative in 2020, which was this model that we should have working class people, the heroes in the community, run and represent their community. In Rhode Island, to be clear, the political establishment has a tight grip on getting into office. In Rhode Island, you don't run for office unless you've been tapped on the shoulder by the Rhode Island political establishment. And if you do try to run, you absolutely don't win. There's no resources for you to do it outside of the corrupt party. There's no way to do it. And so the Rhode Island Political Cooperative is a way of folks being able to work together, share resources, get campaign manager, campaign plan, training. Mind you, I had never planned on running for office. This was not in my wheelhouse. I didn't know all the training you need to run for office. So now, mind you, I'm going to do a quick, run through. I was a single mom working 2 jobs, never planned on running for office. I ran with a slate of 23 other candidates. I took on the Senate finance chair, who was slated to be the next Senate president, one of the most powerful men in the state. He outspent us 4-1. He had unlimited resources, unlimited power. He outspent us 4-1. We beat him 62-38.
Wow.
We spanked him nationally.
Yes, you did.
We made local and national. And I didn't go in alone. This is the other thing. I didn't run alone and I didn't go in alone. We won over 10 seats. And so, which was a progressive tidal wave. So now for 2022, the Rhode Island Political Cooperative has demonstrated to the state, no, you have a place here. The Green New Deal, a living wage, racial justice, environmental justice, those things are within your grasp we got to get you in the seats of decision making. Again, stop asking bad politicians to do good things. We got to get you in there. And so in 2022 now, the Rhode Island Political Cooperative is running a slate of 50 candidates for the state legislature and some city councils as well. And I'm running for lieutenant governor, and my running mate, Matt Brown, is running for governor in Rhode Island. So we're running together on a ticket, and we're running alongside the Rhode Island Political Cooperative. So we have a shared platform. So we're running on the same things. $19 living wage. We're running on, a Green New Deal, Medicare for all the things that people have been begging and pleading this state to pay attention to for a really long time. And we are now going to have the governing majority to be able to do that. And it is the necessary turn that we need to make in order to right hundreds of years of wrong, hundreds of years of greed and oppression.
Yeah. Yes. Senator Mendes, you said that one day there will be leadership that is accountable to the people and does well for the people. I believe that day has already come. And so I want to wish you and your running mate best of luck in that campaign. Could you tell everyone how they can get up and, most importantly, support this action that you're in right now? And what can the people do to help?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can sign up for we have a petition. It's bit.ly, so bit.ly/sleepout petition. So bit.ly/ Sleep Out petition. They can sign that. They can also find our website, which is Matt and Cynthia 4RI. And my Twitter handle is @Cynthia_Mendes_. So those are ways that you can get in touch with us and get connected. All the support and resources are necessary, not just for this fight, but we are fighting multiple fights on multiple fronts. And we've proven in the 17 days that we can get shit done when we do it together. So thank you all.
That's right. Our pleasure. Rhode Island State Senator. And we're going to be pushing for you. We would love to have you back, especially when my internet is a little bit more stable. Thank you for what you're doing and for all the work that you guys are doing on behalf of the unhoused there in Rhode Island.
This is such an honor. Thank you so much for having me. Look forward to next time.
The pleasure is ours. At this point, Dwayne, I normally call for DJ Exclusive to take us to a break. But if you could, take us to a break. When we come back, like it or not, it's going down.
Y'all know who it is. Y'all know the voice. Y'all know the sound. It's your boy, James Williams. DJ Exclusive in the building. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We got one coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Little baddie, cashing big checks. I bought the whole block out. Now that's a big flex.
No, sir, it is
Peeping out my Uber window like what's next. Got new levels and new devils out the wazoo. Ain't no worries, life gets better when you find you. And if you mind you, peace will abide and hide you
until
it's time to start anew.
Pastor Anthony
So
Galloway, man.
Grown, ain't got no curfew. Who brought the bad vibes? Tell that bitch move. Walking all in my inner, that's a bitch move. Press that I arrive.
Laura Strada, KFZ, Jeremiah, Lily. Promises manifested. Showsty, what's going on? Tiger, what's going on, Tiger? Bunny Rabbit, I'm so hot. Okay, Bunny. Juanita, good morning. Jonathan, Esther, on and on it goes. Nicholas, good morning. Movie. Hey, Lou, good morning. Shay, good morning to you. Sophia Williams, good morning.
And soon you will find a pretty soul that needs more shine.
Waterstones, good morning. Kareem Ransom, good morning. Courtney the SLP, good morning to you. You still sounding loud today?
1, 2, mean right hook.
Okay. Marsha Reese, good morning. Miss Nuru, Silk City Socialist. Bill Potts, Christopher Shaw, good morning. Benson, Melanie Dennis, Esther Rochin, Shelby Hall, Nat A, what's going on, sister? Afraid not to move. That's Tickles. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Make sure you get your coffee, your tea, your drinks, whatever it is you need to get your morning started, y'all. Y'all stay tuned. We got one coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Show. And also that means Benjamin Dixon can't come through. Y'all get 30 minutes of yours.
I put the work in. Now I got the big bags that you call Perkins.
Yeah. Iris, good morning. Chris, good morning. Truth the Dragon, good morning, Miss Nuru. Six Dragon Daddy Lee, what's going on, brother? Good morning. AB the Truth the
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
I just, for the record, want to say I'm holding it down.
Good morning. Good morning.
I myself. Good morning. Good morning. All that. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. Our DJ is on vacation. Rebecca Azor is azoring, and she'll be here. She's azoring. She'll be here. And I want people to know that I am on holiday as well. That's why I'm trapped in the closet. And but I am here and I am broadcasting because I love you more. Because I love you more than Rebecca and James combined. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. Rebecca is going to join us momentarily, and shout out to DJ Exclusive, who is on a beach somewhere. I'm glad somebody gets to take a day off around here because I clearly do not. That said, I want to begin with some serious news out of the state of Georgia, where a modern day slavery ring was broken up. We have a clip and I want you to take a look at it and just consider. I want you to, as we watch this, I want you to start thinking about the depravity that's at work behind greed. Take a look in.
Well, 24 people have been indicted after the feds busted what they call a modern-day slavery ring as part of years-long investigation called Operation Blooming Onion. At least 100 immigrant workers were freed from conditions in which 2 people died. Another was repeatedly raped, and others were kidnapped and threatened with death. Southern Georgia, the Justice Department says exploitation of the workers included being required to dig onions with their bare hands, paid 20 cents for each bucket harvested, and threatened with guns and violence to keep them in line. The workers were held in cramped, unsanitary quarters and fenced work camps with little or no food, limited plumbing, and without safe water.
Thank you for having me. Officials told me and my colleague Phil McCausland that this is one of the country's largest human trafficking and visa fraud investigations. Investigators say that for years, these individuals brought Mexican and Central American immigrants to the U.S. under false pretenses and forced them to work in brutal conditions. And as you said, 2 people allegedly died under those conditions and others faced violence and threats of violence.
Danielle, the DOJ says the ring's organizers took advantage of a migrant visa program to bring these workers to the U.S. How did they exactly do that? Is there some sort of loophole there?
Right. So investigators say the migrants were brought to the U.S. under the federal visa program for guest farm workers, known as the H-2A visa. So last year, an NBC News investigation that I was a part of found that as this program has grown, it's left more guest workers vulnerable to abuses. So while federal laws are supposed to ensure decent working conditions, guest workers themselves and advocates say victims are reluctant to speak out about abuses when the employers are in charge of their housing, transportation, pay, and of course, ability to stay in the U.S. Yes, so the charges in this case are related to forced labor, mail fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit such crimes. And defendants face charges that can carry up to a life sentence.
Danielle, you write that this operation is part of a new immigration enforcement effort by ICE. So what's different about it?
Right. So ICE said this investigation shows a shift to a focus on cracking down on bad employers who are exploiting people because of their immigration status through such brutal work conditions, lack of payment, and other abuse in order to maximize profits.
Hey, brother, I heard you talking a whole lot of BS, bro. Good morning, people. I'm broadcasting here from beautiful Jamaica. What's going on, y'all?
This is a good surprise. I almost said the N-word. My dude, Jay, what you doing, man? Man, you're supposed to be somewhere drunk somewhere.
Man, look, bro, I'm so tired of drinking.
What's going on, man? It's good to see you, brother.
Not much, man. I said, let me pop on real quick. I've been trying to pop on for the past 3 days, but I'm just like, today is the last day. We got Wi-Fi, and I'm like, let me jump on this phone real quick and just say at least good morning to the people.
Hey, man, go ahead and give them a good morning, real quick. Let's start over.
Good morning. Oh, okay. You got to count me in. You ready?
Right. 3, 2, go.
Good morning.
Hey, man, James, listen, man, the people have been missing you all week long. I've gotten messages like you better not have done something to James, better not have fired James, man. One person said they're going to pull up on me if I got rid of you. And I'm like, I didn't get rid of the man is actually taking a real vacation this time.
A real vacation. I tell you, a week was too damn long. But it was cool. It was too damn long, but it was great, man.
I've never heard somebody say a week is too long for a vacation, but maybe a week away from home. Man. Might be what you.
Yes. Bro, man, I'm ready to get back in my bed. watch it on my TV and play my PlayStation and do the show. I miss y'all, man. I miss y'all like a mug.
bro. I think the universe called you in time because the clip I just got through playing, I was getting ready to call for a whole revolution out here, man. These folks in Georgia,
I know you
did you see that stuff? You see these fools in Georgia got a whole slavery ring going on for some immigrant workers, and so anyway, I'm not going to talk about that with you, man. Tell me what you drinking on though. What's the best drink you had down there in Jamaica?
So what I got put on to was overproof rum and ginger beer. And I wish I would have discovered it sooner because before that, it was like margaritas and rum runners and tequila sunrises. And I had the terrible hangover every day. But the ginger beer and overproof, man, when I tell you everything, it's like really strong, but you will wake up feeling brand new, dude.
Tell you, man. I know about some of them concoctions.
and Ben, when I send you the pictures from we went on a Rastafari ATV excursion, and they took us to a marijuana farm where Bob Marley used to grow his stuff and everything. And bruh, it was a beautiful thing. Don't worry, I got a clip for y'all when I get back to the States with the Rastafari man singing the song.
Why would that?
Good ganja.
But why would you think that would be of interest to me, James? I don't partake in the devil's lettuce.
And it's straight edge, you know this.
All right, listen, I saw some lightning.
Everybody in the chat already know. Look.
Yeah, there was a lightning bolt outside. I just heard. Let me let's get back to it. Listen, man, look. Rebecca's not here yet. She's Rebecca Azoring. She'll probably there she is. I spoke her up and she's coming in the room in a minute. So I want you to hang out there.
Spoke her up.
I literally. So I think she probably saw you and said, let me go and get on this internet. On this internet. She's looking at her. All right, we're gonna give her a couple seconds. Bro, the people have been missing you. When are you flying back? Are you coming back today? Is it when should we expect you back on there?
Today we're flying back in, getting ready to go to the airport now in a few minutes. And I should be on in the morning. Don't y'all hold me to it, but I do want to be on in the morning. So I just got to get it home and set up everything. And then I'm going to see Spider-Man tonight as soon as I get back home. So yeah.
Hey man, I finally got that booster shot. And so but then again, I still can't go to the theater because my babies, they haven't gotten their second shot. My babies got their first vaccine. We're waiting on the second one. And so I'm thinking we're going to have to watch Spider-Man when it comes out on DVD or streaming rather, not DVD. What year am I in?
VHS.
We still have DVDs? VHS. Ben is a VHS man, David.
Man, listen, what you talking about? I got a box full of DVDs and VHSs in somebody's garage. I don't know which garage it is in right now, but listen, the best movie is still on VHS. What you talking about? And I'm trapped in this closet sweating like a feral hog. That's it. I want to go to a break, but you over there in Jamaica. I can't just throw it to you while Rebecca finishes getting dressed.
You can throw it to me. We can finish talking Georgia real quick so that we don't glaze over something.
We'll come back. We'll come back to it. I don't want to be serious because
I don't want to kick James off the stream, but
no, I don't want to kick James off the stream either.
But this is his vacation time.
All right, man. I was trying to give Rebecca enough time to say hello, but here she is.
And look, I would show y'all some things, but I cannot. And we shall talk tomorrow about
that. Some things only go up on your OnlyFans, James. And so there's a lot of stuff that we can't allow.
Yes.
On the morning show.
Yes.
Yes. But I think we're just about ready to bring in Queen Azor to the conversation. Rebecca Azor is here. Oh, okay. We need a second.
Doing us to do some producing.
Okay.
I'm doing my best. Okay. You know what I want to talk about though? You're going to full screen them. Show us what you got in the background, bro. What's the view?
Let me see if. Oh, here we go. This is perfect. Okay, y'all give me a second. I got to figure this thing out. Boom.
There it is. Jamaica,
that is
baby.
Beautiful.
Man, it is amazing.
The mountains in the background.
I never know somebody to be on vacation for 2 weeks.
Too old.
I just said like, damn, this is the longest vacation I've ever been on.
That is crazy.
But James, we need you to hurry up and come back, man, so I can go on vacation.
I'm jealous.
Ben ain't going nowhere. I heard him talking his mess in the beginning of the show, talking about so clearly somebody needs to go on vacation because I can't. Because I haven't. You can't go because you don't.
Is that how it sounds, Rebecca?
We have offered you time and time again to go on somebody's vacation. Rebecca. And you have said no. We have said we will take the week. So don't be trying to say you can't go on vacation or whatever. You can.
Ooh, I want you do know y'all do know I just walked y'all straight into that because I'm taking vacation next week.
Okay, good. Take vacation.
Where you going to, man?
Take vacation.
Oh man, James, listen, man. I'm trying to filibuster as long as I can. Trying to give Rebecca some time, FaceTime with you. There we
go.
There it is.
Hi, Rebecca.
It was Dwayne that had to get me together. That's what it was. But hey, how you doing? What's up?
I'm good. I'm tired, sis. I'm tired, boss.
How you tired? You on vacation?
Well, people got to take vacations from the vacation.
It's true.
Yeah,
you got to take. He's still on vacation, so he can't take the vacation from the vacation because he's still on vacation. That's what I said. 2 weeks is way too long to be in somebody else's country, and because
it is.
I mean, fun is great and all, but sleep is good too.
Tell me about.
I don't know.
The last 2 or 3 days. Last 2 or 3 days has been all about sleep.
Yeah.
And then partying, of course, at night because party like there was no tomorrow. So the sun come up a few times.
Are you guys in a place where it's just like 24-hour partying? Like, is it just like a constant resort, or is it like you've been there long enough to see ebbs and flows? Was it a 2-week party, or was it like party on the weekends?
Party every night. Do y'all know what the definition of hedonism is?
Hedonism, yeah.
You said heathen?
Exactly.
Heathenism?
You might have to say that for the picture party.
Heathenism, or is it what was it?
With a D. It's a D in there. Hedonism.
Let me go Google.
Well, you're definitely going to have to wait for the after show. Patreon.com/like it or not if you want Bubba to tell you more about the hedonism aspect of his trip to Jamaica. I'm sure there's quite a story to tell.
I'm just shaking my head.
There was something I wanted to talk with you about, James, while we got you. Which one of these stories? Hang on a second. There's one of these stories here that I wanted you in specific to talk about. Was it Kanye? Nah.
Sorry, Ben. I just Googled it. So
what was it?
I Googled
you got it now. Okay. Yeah.
And now I know.
And now you know. Knowing is half the battle.
That's right. Yeah.
That's why it's a 2-week vacation.
I'm ready to go home.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it. Just call me.
Right. I'm gonna call you. Wait, where did Ben go? Look.
He probably said take him off screen. This is what I'll be talking about right here. This is it right here. Okay, this is it right here.
Oh.
Thank you. I was like,
no, because Ben's looking like I did not ask to be taken
we're about to get it. He's like, what is going on?
I'm looking at his face right now because I can see him. So
right.
Nah, man. I'm just over here dealing with y'all know me. I'm be multitasking politics and world domination at the same time. But I'm back here. What's up? What did I miss?
Nothing. I just found out what hedonism is live on TV. So,
I saw your eyes when you realized what it was. I saw that part.
I thought he was saying heathenism. You might as well call it heathenism.
I'm about to say it's not too far from heathen.
I was say like it's given. I guess
it's not.
We'll talk about it some other time.
Look, James, if you stay on any longer at this point, we are going to take you into a news story, man. The people,
exactly.
I do think
and I got to take this heavy ass bag down to the front, and it's
And listen, I do want to thank you for coming on because I seriously was starting to get death threats because people thought I had fired you. So thank you for showing people that you were still part of the Like It or Not Benjamin Dixon Show.
Hey, y'all know I ain't going nowhere ever. Right. I love y'all, man. I will see y'all tomorrow,
man,
okay?
We'll see you tomorrow.
Enjoy your
vacation.
Be safe out there.
Bye.
Rebecca Azor, how you doing, sis?
Rebecca Azor was just Azoring.
Azor?
Not.
I made you a verb. I turned you into a verb. You out here azoring.
It's true. And that means that is that like colored people time? But like
it's a little different than colored people time because it's like add an extra 5 minutes and some randomness.
I'm Haitian too. So it's like when you're Haitian at the same time, it goes like extra. I think African, that's even all the way.
What is so disrespectful with people's time, though? Why is that?
But then there's Azorean time. I think there's a balance now, because you see, the wig looks good today because I was pressing it. So when I heard you saying Rebecca Azor is Azorean, I was like, see, there you go, right there. Just try. But no.
Was I lying? I was
laughing. It was funny. I said that is facts. That's actual and that's factual. But thanks for holding them 5 minutes down. And,
what you talking about? It's 22 minutes.
No. It's 22 minutes. I logged in at 9:12.
Okay, so 12 minutes. Okay, we'll give you 12 minutes. All right. The standard Azor period is 15 minutes, so you did pretty good today. Okay, so you beat the curve. All right. Anyway, that's it.
When nobody asking you, David. When nobody asking you to add.
Let's grab a couple of these last few stories since we're here. I want to talk about Dion Sanders. There it is. That's what I wanted to talk to James about. James, if you're still listening, feel free to call back in. Rebecca, HBCUs are about to show folks what the hell is up. You saw the story. Dion Sanders, primetime, has been able to convince the #1 high school pick, who originally was going to FSU, is now going to Jackson State University, a historically Black college and university. Rebecca, it's about to get real.
It's a beautiful thing. So I'll say, him picking the top recruit, Travis Hunter. I think, a young Black boy, and we know the stories with, even in our own high schools. I think all of us know, whatever high school we've been to, we know a lot of the football recruits usually go to these predominantly white schools in these predominantly white states, and I know for FSU, which is, a top school when it comes to football. I know a lot of my friends who we all went to Tallahassee from high school, a lot of my football playing friends, they all went over to FSU, and that was from where I was from. And then the ones from what we call Muck City, Muck City, ugly and all that, they actually did the same thing that Travis did. Travis Hunter did, this #1 recruit here, where they were offered to go play at FSU, but they actually wanted the HBCU experience at FAM. Now, at the time, the football team wouldn't even know that at FAM, but they still wanted that HBCU experience. So, but to see how Travis Hunter is taking this, the theatrics is what everybody's upset about. The Karens, the Carry-Ons, the Caanitas, all of them, they're upset. The FSU comment section is up in arms saying that they wish that Travis Hunter will get injured within his first year. And that is a problem. And I don't know. I know there's a conversation surrounding, he's, about to take a meal and go to Jackson State and, do all of that. But I'm like, I don't really think it's about the money, because he's losing a lot of money not going to Florida State. And he's going over to,
he's taking a risk too.
Yeah, so I think that what it is being at a Black school, under Black leadership, with a Black coach, a one that has a history, a great one, and then you get all of that. I don't know how you can beat that. So I think it's really just wanting to be centered in his culture and let the people be mad. I saw people up in arms about this, and I'm like, why are you so mad?
So there's a lot to this story. Dion's been in this kid's life since like 5th, 6th grade. He's been like a mentor to him, like a second kind of father. So and he's not really missing. There's a lot of stuff going around about, because now with the name and likeness, people, college athletes can get paid. So that's right. He is getting a little something out. The number isn't confirmed, but I've heard anywhere from like $1 million to $2 million. But the people mad about it are first to bring up, he going there because of the money. Okay, college athletes been getting paid under the table for years at these big schools, and it's cool because they're going to your white school. But as soon as we start to take back some of the power, look what happens.
Look at him. Y'all see that man? That fool burned his Dion Sanders jersey, Florida State jersey.
Yeah, and
like that's worth some serious money. Go ahead.
It's huge. Like this is historical. Like hopefully it leads to a shift. But this is the first 5-star athlete to sign directly to a FCS HBCU school out of high school. Like this is huge. So and hopefully it's a step in the right direction. For years to come.
I hope that it shows. So. Yeah, I hope that it shows a lot of Black kids especially, but we're doing this push for HBCUs because it's very important. These are schools that they treat as if we don't have, that's not where y'all picking up athletes at. These Black children, are not like, this is literally their schools as well. And we should have the same treatment that, these other schools as FSU have. I told you what happened when I went school shopping for college. They took us to the football field because that's all they believe that we're worth. But we know at an HBCU, you're going to have the grades and they will teach you and all that. And under the leader, like you said, Dwayne, if he's been in his life since he was a child, 5th, 6th grade, then that there's like a father figure there. And you know how it is in an HBCU. Yes, the financial aid lines be wrapped around.
Here we go.
But you know that you're going to have some kind of motherly, fatherly, auntie, uncle relationship with the leadership in the school. They're actually going to care about your education because he's going to walk out probably still top and, in sports and with a degree. They don't play that. They're not going to just have you be somebody just, be so focused on the sport without getting that degree and understanding education. And that's what I think he'll get.
That's a fact. Go ahead, Dwayne.
No, I can't even remember what else I was about to say. But
that gets like that sometimes.
I'm just like when I saw this yesterday, I was super happy. Like my boy and I were talking about this 5-6 years ago. Like, man, all of these top athletes need to be going to HBCUs. And because if you look at it, 60 to 70% of the top athletes in the country are black. I mean, just tell it like it is. And if we started to support our own and going to these smaller schools and these HBCUs, the Power 5 conferences would be done. Like they'd be done. And they see this as like the first little snowball. They're like, okay, we might be in some trouble if some other kids start to go the same route.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to say everything I want to say publicly. Patreon.com/like it or not, after party or somewhere, I will say everything that I want to say about this. But let me tell you something really clear about what you're saying there, Dwayne, because you're absolutely 100% correct. If Black people control the profits that come as a result of our talent, there would be no such thing as white supremacy. This country there would be no such thing as America, but it's already here. So we're going to put that behind us. There's no America without Black talent. There's no innovation without Black talent. There's no Super Bowl ring. There's no college championship without Black talent. There's no million sales on an album without Black talent. I mean, Black folks is out here making billions of dollars, probably to the tune of trillions of dollars. And those profits are being enjoyed by non-Black people, white folks.
Talk about it.
Now you run them dollars back into the Black community and watch what we can do. They know what we can do because they bombed us when we did it the first time. I know we're talking about sports ball, but it's all connected to me. Sorry.
It's very connected, Ben. Come on, somebody, you in the house today. And it's very interesting because I think they're up in arms because of the way that he did it too. They found it very disrespectful that he did that whole theatrics in taking the hat and choosing.
It was good.
Choosing.
Do we have that clip? Oh my God!
We do have the clip. We should have the clip because I put it in there. But that was perfect to me.
I didn't know. I'll pull it.
Well, there's no audio on it, but if you have the B-roll, he had on the FS. He took off the hat and put on that Jackson State hat.
He did 3 schools. He started with one. I forgot which one it was. Then he did the FSU hat. But the thing is, they said, he strung people along for so long, making them believe that FSU was where he was going. Now, if this was vice versa, if he strung along an HBCU this whole time and then, flipped it and went to FSU, right? It wouldn't have been an issue. There wouldn't have been a problem. It wouldn't have been an issue. Wouldn't be nothing. But because that happened, those Karens and they husbands, they were upset, saying that all kinds of BS. They were like, "This is absurd. The disrespect." Somebody even said, "This is for him to be a part for Dion Sanders to orchestrate the most embarrassing time for FSU. He should that number one pick that he has should definitely get hurt because that is embarrassing and it was It's disrespectful to FSU.
Reach our hands out to the screen.
Trash. That whole argument is trash because kids decommit all the time.
That's right.
Verbal commitments decommit all the time. Every single year.
The other thing, Dwayne, the other thing is they also know every white player has an agent who knows how to work the system. And to play the system against itself, and playing the system against itself means you are going to string along those other teams as long as you possibly can. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Get over it. You all lost just like I lost LeBron James when he went back to Cleveland, just like Cleveland lost LeBron James when he came down to Miami. Get over it. But I just want to say this to everybody who's wishing this boy gets hurt. We just going to rebuke you. You ain't nothing but a devil. And that boy going to be in the NFL. And hell, maybe he'll be in a league that's owned by black people. Because if black talent controls their own profit, just like any other labor controls their own profit, oh, man, I think America might roll out listen, Alabama might roll out the National Guard if we start taking more of their recruits in Florida State. Then these states are going to lose their mind.
Yeah. I think all in all, this is just black as hell. The way he did it was black as hell. And it's just black and beautiful. Be mad. This happens all the time. Just because he added a little pepper to, to the salt, you know what I'm saying? Just because he added a little bit of something to it. Here you go. There
it is.
Like, nah,
I'm good. Throw that thing to the side. God dang.
It's the thrust in this throw right here.
It was
get this out of here.
Get this out of here. I was talking about.
Yeah, baby. This is what it is.
Jackson State. Oh, country ass Jackson State.
Baby, he couldn't wait for this moment. This is on the Ticking Talks. Yes, sir.
Jackson State about the size of Bethune-Cookman, but we love him anyway. We love y'all. He gonna do great out there.
Look. Yeah, this is the moment, baby. Believe. Come on, I believe. Yes, God. This is just the moment, okay? Listen.
They just fuming. Just man. I know my pastor mad though. My pastor is from Florida State, so I know he like a little disappointed. But I know he's happy also that he's going to HBCU.
I was gonna say there are a lot of black people who came from Florida State or in the Tallahassee base, period. And they're like, that's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right, because we know what this means for every little black boy and every little black person that's watching this, okay? And they're like, oh, I can too. And that's what I love about this.
Can I say I am so glad that this athlete, this young man, and other athletes are finally going to get paid from their image, from their labor, from all the stuff, all the money that they bring to these universities, pay these kids. And I'm glad this kid got that money.
Oh, yeah. Get the money. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure they're going to push his education. It's not going to be just rolling in whatever because you are an athlete. Yes, you'll have that, but they're going to make sure, too. Just because you're an athlete don't mean you need to be showing up in my class late.
Oh, yeah. Nah,
they will do that to you in the classroom. I can't wait.
They don't care how far. Listen, there ain't no favoritism. Unless things have changed since I left I went to an HBCU and a PWI. Unless things have changed since I left my HBCU, ain't no favoritism because you're popular, because you're the star athlete. You're going to get them grades. Yeah. There's a saying at Cookman, a lot of folks can get in, but a lot of folks ain't getting out because the standard is so high. Like you can get accepted, but you're going to get in there and you're going to study harder, I promise you, than I ever studied at a PWI because of how rigorous the professors were at an HBCU.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Shout out to our HBCUs, Florida A&M University, BCC, now BCU. Shout out to those schools. Love you, mean it. But yeah, choose black. Black.
Unless it's Kanye. Don't choose Kanye. No, I'm sorry. That was a bad trend. That was a bad segue. That wasn't a good segue.
Go ahead.
I don't like Kanye. And I like his publicist even less.
George Bush doesn't like black people.
And Ben doesn't like Kanye. I do love Kanye. I love his music. But anyway, it's not about Kanye. This next segment is not about Kanye so much. We're gonna drag Kanye in a minute. This is about his publicist. And Rebecca, this story is just wild. We have a couple of clips. David, it sounds like you're itching to get in here and set it up. Go ahead. I hear you huffing and puffing. What you want to say about this?
Sorry, I forgot to shut my mic off.
David's ready to get in here. Go ahead. What you want to say, David?
This is just an insane story, and Ben, I don't think you even know what it's about.
How deep it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is. a nut story. The next clip's it's a little bit more than 2 minutes because Joy Reid broke it down best of everything I saw. It's insane how this woman was harassed by Kanye's publicist, or a publicist for Kanye. And we have a breakdown. We have a 911 call that Ruby Freeman made. And then we have the full clip of her being intimidated if we wanted. Let's roll E and give a summary.
Now, what you're about to see and hear is just one of the many threats that Georgia election worker Ruby Freeman received after being falsely accused by Donald Trump of rigging votes in the state against him.
I cannot say what specifically will take place. I just know that it will disrupt your freedom and the freedom one or more family members.
That video is part of a nightmare story detailed in 2 must-read reports from Reuters today, which shed new light on the disturbing power of the big lie. The video, which was recorded at a police station by a body camera, shows the 62-year-old Freeman with a woman named Trevian Kutti. She's the one who threatened Freeman that people were going to disrupt her freedom. And as unbelievable as it may sound, Kutti has been identified by Reuters as a publicist for hip-hop artist Kanye West, who's friends with Donald Trump. Kutti showed up on Freeman's doorstep earlier that day, claiming she was sent by a, quote, high-profile individual to give Freeman an urgent message. Confess to Trump's voter fraud allegations, or people would come to her home in 48 hours and she would go to jail. That's why they agreed to meet at a police station, where Kutti put Freeman on the phone with someone who tried to get Freeman to implicate herself in committing voter fraud on Election Day. Despite their attempts to intimidate her, Freeman refused to confess to something she didn't do. But the scariest part is that, according to Freeman, the FBI called her the next day and urged her to leave her home of 20 years because it wasn't safe. Freeman describes in a lawsuit how she left hours before a mob of angry Trump supporters surrounded her home, shouting through bullhorns. Since then, she's moved from house to house in fear for her safety. Ms. Freeman, who had to change her appearance because she was afraid. Her photograph was widely circulated by right-wingers after the election. To interview her, Reuters had to agree not to describe the way she looks today. Reuters has also documented more than 850 threats and harassing messages to election administrators, including about 100 that legal experts say could be prosecuted under federal law, but almost no one so far has been held accountable.
I hate y'all. I got the joke as soon as y'all came back from. Why I got to be the one looking like I'm not paying attention? God dang. Rebecca said in Slack that I look like I'm in the back of a church.
I bet you they can't hear Dwayne either laughing.
Sorry to this woman, first of all.
No, first of all, Dwayne.
We're not laughing about that.
We're not laughing at you. Dwayne, cut on your microphone because y'all messed me up. I'm trying to do my job. And she talking about I look like I'm in the back of a church fanning myself.
A vintage church, because they don't make the churches like that no more. Ben is in the back by the bathroom. It's in the back. The water fountain is behind him by the door. And he's fanning himself off, not paying attention to the pastor.
My wife is out now. Let me see. At least let me open the closet door. Okay. Now back to because
no, it was Dwayne saying that the fan got a funeral home. Because you know the fans be having MLK, a funeral home, random black stuff. Just why?
Having pictures of Jesus on it and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, white Jesus though. And
they got the white Jesus with the little lamb in his arm knocking on the door. That's the Jesus they got on every fan. Oh my goodness. What story is this? Kanye West's crazy ass publicist threatening a Georgia poll worker, and then that woman having to leave her home just before Trump supporters came and harassed her and surrounded her. These people crazy, man. They have lost their damn minds for real. And
no, seriously. Yeah. No, the fact that they were blacks for Trump. That's what it was giving. And because you know how it is. You had the Cuban people, I will vote for Donald Trump. Remember them? And then now you had the black people for Trump. And they are the Kanyes, but they're in these high levels. And for them to go as far as to attack and to say that for them to confess about voter fraud. That wasn't there.
Did you see that 3 people did get arrested for voter fraud, and they were all Republicans, and they all voted voter fraud for Donald Trump? Voter fraud, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it was killing me too. It was killing me too.
I didn't know how to put it. I know you are not saying that I said a word that was killing you, your ass.
Oh, listen. No, it was killing me too. It was just fraud. It was
voter
killing me.
Voter frauder. I'm trying to turn fraud into
voter
fraudism.
Voter frauding. It's just
I turned to frauding.
Fraudaire.
Yeah. Defrauding. Yeah.
Listen.
Anyway, it just didn't sound right. It just didn't flow right. But the point is that these folks take a very personal. You got to have. Rebecca, what would it take for you to do the same exact thing that this publicist did? Like, how confident in yourself would you have to be to go to someone and say, I have been sent by someone famous, and if you don't confess, you're going to jail? Now, this woman, this publicist, is a publicist. She's not an officer of the law. She's not even an attorney. She's not an investigator. She's not a private investigator. She's a publicist. And she now put herself in trouble and her client, Kanye West, because she was so confident in Donald Trump's big lie that she went to this lady and said, and here's a bad thing. The threat was actually real because I don't know how you call it a threat. And all those people showed up. They carried out the threat. So how is it a threat? No, this is violence against this woman.
I feel like the poll worker, there are so many other poll workers who have been, threatened, but because the stature of the person, right, that is doing the threat to this poll worker, it probably brought more fear because the power, with money there comes power, and the more money you got, the more power you have, but clearly the more problems that come with it too. But here is just the reality of the stupidity and the lengths people will go in the name of Donald Trump, even if it's one of our own, but all, what they say, all skin folk and kinfolk. And so, just to see how far he would go for that instead of for, so many other issues that were happening at that time. Like, what were the mentions of the black men dying by Kanye and at the hands of police? He
said slavery was a choice. Remember, that's what he said.
He said those kind of comments, slavery was a choice. Like, and even to the point where I believe that he even made his wife at the time comfortable with having such conversations about braids and stuff. Recently, she came out and said, the reason why she wear 2 braids, is because her daughter told her to wear her hair like hers. Man, before you had that black baby, you was wearing 2 braids. Y'all done I remember when your sister put her face on Tupac. I never forgot that and sold them shirts. So I never forgot that. But anywho, let's go back. It's really crazy that poll worker had to be threatened in the name of Trump by Kanye's people. That's crazy. It's absurd.
This also tells me, real talk, there's going to be a lot of black folks who are going to have to fight against, rhetorically speaking, politically speaking, economically speaking, liberation-wise. There are people who have the same exact skin tone as us, who are part and parcel of this system.
And who's fighting the fight at the highest peak and still don't. It's crazy because, and it's like not even a brainwash thing, I would say, because I'm like, people see, we are looking at the person, we're seeing it, but we do things like this. Man, but that's Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like that's yay. Y'all don't see Kanye coming back. Y'all don't see Kanye. He the old Kanye coming back. No, I don't. I really don't. He had a whole. He literally had the whole Mercedes-Benz popping during a time when people was dying, and then the next day tried to have vaccinations and couldn't realize that with the lowest number of vaccinations, he had 30 people get vaccinated at a concert that big. Like,
Jesus Christ.
This man is the mastermind of a cultish situation. But that's what I see a lot of people who are leading the activism fight and stuff like that we are afraid to question those people. But they're leading these cults. And these people it's red Kool-Aid. It's that Kool-Aid drink. And they're leading these people straight off of the cliff. And it's ridiculous. And what they'll do is, because they feel like it's just such and such. It's just such and such. It's just this person. Still fighting the fight. They're not looking at they're not looking at the person straight for what they are, what they've showed them. It's not one mistake. It's not two mistakes. It's constantly. So now when are we going to call a thing a thing?
A thing. Listen, I am a fan of Kanye, but I don't like him. He did make great music at one time. The reason I can't like him is because he has made his league with our enemies. I make no compunction about, no reservations about using that word, referring to these people as our enemies, because they're the enemies of humanity. He's best friends with Elon Musk, the man who wanted to institute a coup in Bolivia to get some batteries, some lithium. Right. Person of the, well, Time is owned by a billionaire, so I don't expect anything less. And Facebook, anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. I shouldn't even brought that up. The point is, I can't really rock with Kanye because Kanye is rocking with people who would just as soon who believe critical race theory is the worst thing that ever happened to America, not slavery. That's Kanye West's people. So I can't. And he's not particularly that good anymore. Do we have that footage of that concert? The concert that he just had with Drake. Drake was just sitting there bopping, looking at him like, okay. But I just don't think Kanye's doing it no more, man. I think he's losing. I'm not talking about the loss of his mental faculties as a result of his mother. I'm just talking about, one, he just ain't that talented no more for him to be selling us out to people who will destroy us. I'm sorry. So when people say, oh, it's just Kanye, yeah, that's all the more reason for us to be like, nah, we can't rock with this dude. Donald Trump, right? I mean, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. I mean, a minute he gonna be hanging out with people from the alt-right. I mean, how much further? And when you said he was a mastermind, this is the last thing I'll say about it. When you say he was a mastermind, I don't honestly think he's the mastermind. I don't honestly think that he's the brains of any of the things that he's doing. Maybe the music, I give him the music. But in terms of all these, this thing that's going on with him politically and him, slavery was a choice and all that, he ain't a mastermind. He's just a useful idiot.
He is definitely behind a lot of this BS that he's doing. He thinks that instead of him naturally creating that GOAT status, he's just creating this because this is what he wants his legacy to be. This is how he wants to be remembered. You can't, and like I understand he went gospel, remember? But then in that same breath of preaching the gospel, he has this whole other aspect of living and all this other stuff. It's like it doesn't make sense. But if it makes sense to Kanye, it makes sense to everybody else. We're such a fickle people. We can be the strongest Christians and black Christians. And what happens is because it's Kanye and Kanye called your church and wanted to use a few of your members for his choir. All of a sudden, it's like, man, Kanye's a man of God. He's a mom. Yeah. He is a man of God. And he is called to do the work.
What part makes him a man of God? I'm curious.
And I don't see it because you're taking songs that are already songs.
There you go. Kanye tied into these evangelical churches, man.
Listen, he's taking money. So listen, and I don't even, who's preaching at these Sunday services? Or is it just musical theatrics, which is beautiful. I love a black choir singing. I love it. But what happens after that? What's the next movement? What are we doing? I think he's trademarking on the black church. Like he's doing, he's taking it and
he's
that's
not even good at it.
He's not even giving anything.
Not the black church thing. The guy who he has producing the black church music is actually really good. The guy producing, but Kanye's not producing that. Kanye.
And it's culty. It's really culty. It's like, and not to say that the church ain't culty because it is, but it's very culty. It's very culty. Like the wearing the one unison color and just like weird humming with R&B music. Like it's not even giving Kirk Franklin remix. It's giving like weird crawling in spirits that ain't of God. That's all I got for that. But
they don't stream everything live, right?
Here it is, and this is why it for white supremacy to win.
Narcissist, that's the word.
They
Sorry.
must.
Yes,
that's a very narcissistic sociopath, if you ask me. But for white supremacy to win, they have to capture blackness, right? And they have to at least give the appearance that they captured the black community. And this is what I mean. Every single step of the way over the last 7 years of me doing this work, there are constantly people who are recruiting black people to come out there to get paid to do conservative work. right? That's because they know they cannot win this game unless they get the black community either behind them or shut up. And the way they shut us up, put a whole bunch of celebrities out there and win the celebrities. And that's why, well, anyway, that's mine. That's
you remember what we talked about yesterday too, when we said, and I'm pointing at y'all. I know it's really long too, my finger. No, we remember what we talked about yesterday too, when we were saying how even in corporate, right? Let's use this example. They'll send out a black person when they know like there's a large black team. They'll give the black person be a manager or the leader or whatever to get the black people in line, to get them to follow that corporate model. And, and they'll do it because they're getting paid. Like they feel like they're getting paid all this money and it don't even be a fraction of what they should be getting paid. But they feel like because they're getting paid more, they can walk that line and treat you as corporate in their white supremacist ways would want, right? Django model as well. So we see that with Kanye West. That's what we see in politics. They're going to use a celebrity. The celebrity has to be urban, very urban, black. Okay. And they're going to make sure if this celebrity chooses them, then, this celebrity will be able to get these black people in line and to respect the politics of Donald Trump in some way. Because it's a lot of people who didn't respect the politics of Donald Trump, but all of a sudden, when he done did something for Kodak Black, when he did something for Kanye, when he did something for these different celebrities, it now rings a different kind of bell. Now they're like, you know what? I know it was ching-a-ling-a-ling, and now I got a little tink-tink, and I like it better like that. You know what I'm saying? I like it better like that. And, Trump ain't all that bad because he gave me a little dollar bill. He ain't all that bad because he did this and that. And it's like, sis, it wasn't you he helped. It was that rich black man. You won't get the same treatment. You won't get the same treatment.
You will not. You will not. You will not get the same treatment as a black woman, period. You barely gonna get listen, if you're a black man who gonna kiss their ass, okay, fine. You'll get some pretty decent treatment. But we're still dealing with a faction of this planet, man. I'm just dead. Like, this is bigger than Kanye. Kanye is just the useful idiot in a broader scheme. And we talk about all the time. And quite honestly, I'm just tired of having to explain it to, not to you all, the audience, but to what Cynthia Mendes said. She said, stop trying to convince bad politicians to do good things. Yeah, that's where I am now. I'm tired of convincing bad people to do the right thing. I'm trying to move y'all out of power.
Robinette.
Come on.
Robinette, you next.
Y'all want to go to a break and go to after party?
All right.
I know we got 6 minutes. We do the 6 minutes. If we do I can give you good 6 minutes of an after party if we go now.
Okay, let's go. I love you guys so much. Oh, look, I love you guys so much. Ben is kicking me off of my own show to go to the after party.
Wait a minute. Wait. I forget. This is your show.
No, it's not. Not until we get new pictures. Not until we get new pictures. Not until we get until them pictures come in. This ain't it. This ain't mine.
So maybe then until then,
everything will be all together.
and so until then, I'm kicking you off of my temporary show. And we're going to after party. Ain't nobody kicking nothing off. We're going to take a break. Dwayne, play us some music while we're missing DJ Exclusive. And when we come back, it's going to be the after party. Unless, David, are we going private?
Yeah, we'll go private. I think Rebecca might have a history lesson, and I have a clip you guys will enjoy.
What my history lesson is? I love you guys.
Like it or not. We'll see you at that.
Patreon.com/like it or not. Make it rain over there. See you guys in the after party.
Good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. Y'all know the voice. Y'all know the sound. It's your boy James Williams, DJ Exclusive in the building. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We got one coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Little baddie, cashing big checks. I bought the whole block out, now that's a big flex.
No, sir, it is
Peeping out my Uber window like what's next. Got new levels and new devils out the wazoo. Ain't no worries, life gets better when you find you. And if you mind you, peace will abide and hide you until it's time to start
Pastor Anthony Galloway, man.
Ain't got no curfew. Who brought the bad vibes? Tell that bitch move. Walking all in my ear, that's a bitch move. Press that I arrive.
Laura Strada, KFZ, Jeremiah, Lily, Promises Manifested, Showston, what's going on? Tiger, what's going on, Tiger? Bunny Rabbit, I'm so hot. Okay, buddy. Juanita, good morning. Jonathan Esther, on and on it goes.
All that jealousy, you should subside. I think it's time to turn it.